I'm Kretus, a retired Army officer living in Asia Minor near the city of Ephesus. In my final years as a soldier, I was a centurion in the Roman army in Judea. Duty there was pretty good. At least it was a lot better than being on the battle lines at the outer edges of the empire, fighting barbarians and sleeping outside. The zealots were just starting to cause problems. They were dedicated to getting rid of the Romans and returning Palestine to an independent state. When we caught any of these revolutionaries, and we caught quite a few, we crucified them in public places as a deterrent to others. My century was part of Pilate's elite personal guard, so we spent a lot of time in the palace. The only times we had to be away from our comfortable beds was when we had to chase down some Jewish terrorists or accompany Pilate to Jerusalem for festival times. I especially remember one time that we traveled to Jerusalem because I had to carry out one of the most difficult crucifixions I had ever handled. The man I executed was a zealot. He was a Galilean rabbi, and some people had become convinced that he was the Messiah, the God-man that many of the Jews were expecting to come to and overthrow the Romans. They called him Jesus, the Nazarene. It all took place during the Passover festival, when thousands of Jews from all over the world came to Jerusalem for a week of religious service, feasting and partying. The week of Passover started with a strange event, and the tensions continued to build all week long. On Thursday night, after the Seder suppers at about 1 a.m, a group of temple guards arrested the rabbi in the olive garden called Gethsemane. They took him to the palace of the high priest. They held some kind of trial in the middle of the night, and just before sunup they marched him to the fortress Antonia and got Pilate to carry out the death penalty they desired. They asked me to ask Pilate to come out and meet with him. Pilate was up, eating his breakfast and dealing with some of the minor government documents. I entered, saluted, and said to him, "My Lord Pilate, a delegation of Jewish Centurions is here to see you. They have arrested and tried the rabbi Jesus, and they want us to execute him. They say the rabbi is guilty of blasphemy because he claimed to be the Son of God, and under their law that is a capital offense. What risk is he to us? Does Rome have any interest in this matter?" They also said he is guilty of sedition against Rome because he claimed to be the king of some kind. More and more people have been following the rabbi every day, and it is possible that his movement could grow into an insurrection. Only the government decides who is king and who is not, pronounced Pilate. After Pilate had listened to their arguments, he asked Jesus a few questions, focused especially on the issue of whether or not Jesus claimed to be a king. The rabbi was evasive. He answered with the things like, "If you say so," and "My kingdom is not of this world." Pilate was growing exasperated with the Jewish leaders. For sure, this Jesus was something of a public nuisance and maybe a little crazy, but he certainly wasn't a threat to Rome, and there was a strange power in his eyes and words. He was a different kind of man than I had ever seen before. Pilate had us move Jesus forward so that all the crowd could see him. By this time, he had been walking or standing all night, and he had been pushed and shoved from one place to another. He had been beaten and abused. He was looking very, very tired, and he leaned against me to keep from falling forward. Pilate announced to the delegation of Jews that he had not found any reason for Jesus to be executed. Someone in the crowd made a wreath of thorn bush, and the soldiers pushed it down on his head, causing blood to make lines on his face. They took a purple cape off the back of a horse and draped it over the rabbi's shoulders, shouting, "He is dressed like a real king." Only the sound was pounding of the nails, even though I had not gotten to the top of the hillside. Some of his followers, mostly women, were standing at the edge of the crowd, weeping. After a time, a few of them came to the foot of the cross. I think one of them was his mother. I think his strength was nearly gone, but Jesus raised his head a little. He looked at the Jewish leaders and at us. Then he did something I will never, ever forget. He prayed, God, forgive them. They don't understand what they are doing. He was dying a horrible death at my hand, and yet he asked God to forgive me. I held my head down so my soldiers could not see my tears. At that moment, I knew that I had seen the Son of God.